Hi there, welcome to the Kenny Veach M-Cave mystery. Today looking back at an interesting article which does focus in on Area 51 and the possible reasons behind his disappearance. Once again, looking at an article, checking for any new information, details which may have not been mentioned or picked up on before, and as well misinformation to clear up any loose ends, so when people do research or come here, they know what's up and what's going on. Because as we've seen, not all articles have been that great. There is a second one, but I will save that for another video, and it appears to be in more depth, whereas today, the more concentrated theme and focus on military, undercover stuff going on. I can combine that with Google Earth satellite imagery and do a bit of a rough, rugged analysis talking about locations of interest and the likelihood of possible involvement, tying it in with the alternative outlook of if Kenny Veach's scent ended at the Mineshaft, and if he didn't turn back and double back the way he came, and he's not in the Mineshaft, then statically he must have just vanished into thin air or taken away. Could that be by air? What's above? In what sense exactly? Well, we can get to that later. Be sure to stick around. Before we go any further, I just want to say, if you want to catch up with my recent videos and coverage, you've missed out on any videos on the case, don't worry. You'll be able to find it all available, the top right corner, right there, I symbol. Click on that, you get the full playlist, drop down menu, and some loose videos attached. And furthermore, if you do want to stay up to date with updates and notifications, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out. Also, when watching through this video, feel free to leave a comment down below, your thoughts, opinions, reactions, whether you agree or disagree with the article, and let me know your thoughts as in Area 51 and is it involved with Kenny's disappearance. You can leave that under the video where the comment section is. That'll help with spreading awareness, enabling more discussions and possible new video ideas with time, and I will respond back to the comments shortly afterwards. If you do want to support my channel in general, below in the comments there is a pinned message with a PayPal link and channel membership. With that all being said, let's get into this article. The title of the article reads, "What happened to Kenny Veach, the YouTuber who disappeared after finding an M-shaped cave near Area 51? The truth may forever lie just beyond our grasp." That's rather interesting the way they've hinted at that, because other articles, more so towards the end, have said we'll probably never know and it is what it is. But the way it's suggested here foreshadows the truth is behind red tape, the truth is behind borders, behind military in some way. This was by Omar Farouk. Now, I'm not too sure if I've covered it this time, but because we're applying it to the maps, it's rather relevant. Now, the name of the site is called We Got This Covered, but do they really have it covered? Do they really have it under control when it comes to research? Now, we've got a photo here of Area 51, more so like a makeshift custom thumbnail, and that is all. It does say via images YouTube, and I'm just wondering, because it does look somewhat familiar. I'm sure my thumbnail was somewhat similar to this on screen. I could be wrong. It just looks a little familiar because that background photo of Area 51, which is custom, I'm sure I used that myself and I pieced it all together. So is there any chance that this article has used my thumbnail? I know in the past there's been some people or some sites which have used my thumbnails without giving any credit whatsoever, and that's been disappointing. Anyway, this was published August 18th, 2024, 11:32 a.m. British Summer Time. So just know that this may be somewhat dated when it makes references to how long Kenny has been missing for. It reads in 2014, Kenny Veach, 47-year-old YouTuber, an avid solo hiker, claimed to have discovered a strange M-shaped cave near Nevada's Nellis Air Force Base, not far from the infamous Area 51. Well, there's at least 30 plus mile difference between Nellis Air Force Base and where Kenny Veach was actually hiking, in which he believed the cave was to be in that hiking spot. If you're talking about Nellis test range, the bombing range, well then that's likely what Kenny may have been referring to, what this article should be referring to. These articles are mainly using and quoting indirectly from Kenny's own words. So you can see how misdirection can spread, because if you were to type it online on Google Earth, oh, Nevada's Nellis Air Force Base, and that must be where Kenny found the cave nearby, you're going to be shocked and surprised as to where you end up on the maps, because you're heading east, not north, where Kenny actually hiked. So Kenny himself is the problem when it comes to directions and describing the possible location. Very vague, incorrect titles, names given, other times no names acknowledged. It's a bit of a mess for an experienced hiker like himself. Didn't make it easy for the general public if they were to go looking for it themselves. So I want to know your thoughts about that. Kenny Veach first claimed the M-shaped cave on YouTube. He reported feeling a strange, possibly vibrational sensation as he approached the cave, which was so intense that it frightened him away. And I don't know if it'll mention in the comments or as a requote, but basically Kenny Veach said, I began to enter the entrance of the cave, and then he then said, I got closer to the entrance and then ran away because of the vibration. So he contradicted himself there. Did Kenny actually go inside of the cave? Yes or no? He didn't even make that clear. You can say it's deep and dark, but how close were you really to the cave itself? Now, besides Kenny feeling vibrations, only one other person has, and that's Jeff Clark. And I will do a separate video on that someday when there's time, because there's still videos to tick off the list in between. Beside that, it reads, this comment piqued the curiosity of his audience. Well, no, it didn't pique the curiosity of his audience, because the comment that Kenny Veach left on YouTube wasn't even on his own video or channel. It was on Son of an Area 51 Technician by Serious Disclosure or something, a YouTube channel. And whilst Kenny's comment has been deleted since for unknown reasons, the people that responded back to Kenny at the time didn't even know who he was, because he wasn't a big channel back then. He was just a person with some followers in the background, but the people that were piqued by curiosity saw him for the first time, not his audience, strangers. And they're the ones that urged him, encouraged him to revisit the supposed location, to explore the cave further. And it says, Kenny, motivated by these requests and his own curiosity, Veach planned a return trip to locate and explore the cave. He documented his preparations and intentions in a video posted on his YouTube channel, where he discussed his previous experience and what he hoped to find. His video conveyed a mix of excitement, apprehension about the upcoming journey. Whoa, 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 whoa. Hold on. What? What is this on about? Now, when it comes to Sean Horlacher is a good example of a person that has hiked out there, but before doing so, made like a video talking about what he was going to do or consider, or on his second or third hike, right? Beforehand, preparation, what to expect. Kenny Veach never did any of that, unless he had a video on his channel and then it was mysteriously deleted. See, when Kenny Veach went out there, unexpectedly coming across this mysterious cave, and then after he mentioned it online, Son of Area 51 video, and strangers encouraged him to go back out there. So he did, and recorded his hike, what you see on his channel till this day. Before and after, not at any point did he upload a video explaining what he was going to do, planning a return trip, discussing his previous experiences, conveying a mix of emotions about his upcoming journey. He didn't do any of that sort. He might have left the odd response or comment back, as in what he's done in the past, but it wasn't all about the cave, and it was in a comment, not a video. Unless these people writing this up know more than us, or they saw something in the past which we didn't see. Kind of find that a bit hard to believe. But how it's worded here implies that Kenny Veach had a video before his M Cave hike, and it was talking about what he was going to do. There's no existence of that on his channel right now. So that is rather strange. In late October 2014, Kenny set out on his hike into the remote area of the Nevada desert. He was equipped with standard hiking gear, but was alone on this adventure. When he failed to return, concerned family members reported him missing, prompting a search and rescue operation. Oh no. You know why we're doing this video right now? Because they've absolutely got it mixed up. And this is what happens. It's not just the people writing up this article. It's viewers, the general public. People think that Kenny Veach's video on his channel on YouTube called M Cave Hike, people believe that that one, which was done or at least uploaded in October, 1 month before his actual disappearance, people think that that video is when he went missing. But if he went missing on that video hike, then how the hell was it uploaded to his channel afterwards? Exactly. From what we know of, from the official police report, and from activity by Kenny after his hike being done, and people encouraging him to go back out another time, and Kenny saying, well, if anyone else wants to come along, then be my guest, etc., that continued conversation, it goes into November, as in the 10th day of November, when Kenny Veach set out there on an unrecorded hike, supposedly, and never seen again. The October hike, the month before, Kenny went out and successfully, safely returned back, alive. He did not go missing in October, he went missing in November. So they really got this messed up. It's not good. Despite extensive search efforts by local authorities and volunteers, including aerial searches, ground teams combing the challenging terrain, no conclusive evidence of Veach's whereabouts were found. His cell phone was discovered near an old mine shaft. Not the mine shaft, but a mine shaft. And as we know, with SB coming across another one, it could be one or the other. But this clue did not lead to his discovery. The harsh and vast landscape of the area, combined with the limited information about his exact route, significantly hampered the search efforts. By describing it as the search efforts as extensive, I think that is an exaggeration. The searches didn't last that long and didn't last for that many days or weeks, regardless of how long it was, right? It was cut short pretty quick, and it felt like maybe people gave up on it a bit too soon and went cold too quick. And ever since, actual volunteers who have gone out have put in a lot more effort and time and a lot more hands-on. You know, the actual proper search teams didn't even bother to search the mineshaft hands-on. And back then it would have been safer to explore the mineshaft compared to years later when the likes of Scott Natal, SB, Jeff Clark went out there and actually went into the mineshaft, when it would have been even more weakened and damaged with time, as we've seen how it's sped up between 2014 and 2022. So that's worth acknowledging. What do we have here? This is Kenny Veach's video there. And what I will say is, I don't know if it's clickable or not, but Kenny Veach's M Cave hike, I have archived and reposted it on my YouTube channel, but I've enhanced the imagery from 720 pixels from Kenny's channel onto mine, which is now 4K 60 frames per second. More enhanced, better visuals, better viewing experience, and including his unreleased hike footage, a part of the same hike when he got back to his vehicle and talked about his thoughts post-hike. And the reason why I've done that is you want to see the hike from start to finish with at least the footage what we know of. So put it all into one place, start and end, and anything else in between. That's what I've done. better visual quality, just in case anything clearer shows up when you're watching it back compared to poorer quality videos. It can make a difference. And just to archive it, we don't know what may go missing next. We don't know what may be deleted next. Comments, articles, YouTube channels. Look at Really Robin. He disappeared. His channel was deleted, removed, his content as well, by himself, supposedly. Still, nevertheless, the fact that people can just disappear like that, things can disappear from you, it's worth, taking a few steps ahead just to be cautious and prepared. So if anything does go wrong, you've got a backup plan. And that's what needs to be implemented more so with time. This article says the most likely scenario considered by many is that Veach may have fallen victim to the natural dangers of the desert environment, such as falling into a mine shaft or succumbing to dehydration or exposure. Well, if you believe that the search and rescue put in enough effort and went above and beyond, and with you acknowledging from what they said the phone at the mine shaft, you should also do your research and know that they supposedly checked it out with a camera, which isn't good enough. But if you, this person writing the article, believe search and rescue to do such a good extensive job, then you would not be questioning or suggesting Kenny may be in the mine shaft if it's already been checked and cleared off the list. But was it filled in? Did it collapse at some point? Well, from what other hikers have said since, for most part of it, who have searched inside and checked, no signs, no indications of Kenny, though one of the hikers did suggest that there may be a tunnel way which has been filled in since through collapse, and others have suggested adding on, could Kenny or Veach have gone into the mine shaft, went down one of the tunnels, and then was trapped, or he ended his life down that way? But what is the heavy focus with the mine shaft when all along Kenny Veach was describing a cave? That's what's weird. And the time he spent talking about the mine shaft and inspecting it, a separate video is needed for that, I would say. Beside that mentioning of the succumbing to dehydration or exposure, some speculate that Veach, who had openly discussed struggles with depression in his videos. Wait, hold on. To my knowledge, I don't remember Kenny Veach ever talking about depression in any of his videos on YouTube, nor comments. It was the girlfriend that was the mouthpiece that did all the talking on behalf of Kenny, because Kenny's no longer around to do the talking. Now, the girlfriend is a mental health professional in the field, but their attitude and behaviour at times doesn't mirror that, to be honest. So the way they've worded it here about Kenny talking about mental health openly in his videos is bollocks. Then it says that Kenny might have taken his own life, however, no definitive evidence supports this theory. Well, at least they're using some sense. That's true. There's no hard evidence to say Kenny Veach ended his life in the desert. No bullet, no blood, no bones, nothing like that. A few believe the YouTuber might have chosen to disappear intentionally. Hey, there we go, mentioning an alternative. That's good. However, Veach's girlfriend Sharon stated that she believes he died by suicide, not that he intentionally disappeared. Is that so? If Sharon believes that's what Kenny may have done, but what about the whole reporting Kenny 7-8 days late as missing? Why not take action quicker? Why lie public about reporting him missing earlier when you did it later? These articles never acknowledge any of that. Given the proximity to Area 51 and Veach's description of the cave, some theories propose supernatural elements or government cover-ups. These are largely fueled by the mystique of Area 51 and lack concrete evidence, adding to the intrigue in the fact that the M-shaped cave Veach sought has not been definitively located since his disappearance. This has led some to question whether the cave ever existed at all. The only thing that can be said with certainty is that the famous YouTuber has now been missing for 9+ years. much longer than that, without a single trace of his ultimate fate. Is that so? That there's not enough hard, concrete evidence to suggest a military cover-up government's involved, Area 51, but still teasing about the possibilities. I think what needs to be acknowledged, which the article and many others have failed to do since, is what really happened 1 year roughly after Kenny Veach's disappearance, when YouTubers, some of which like DJ Cook, brought it onto the map. That's how I learned about the Kenny Veach case, and I'm sure many of us did. At 2015 onwards, when it started to grow and burn with interest. So with that being talked about more online, with Kenny's original comment being reshared and reposted more online, for that total awareness to be spread and millions learning about it slowly, then it would have caught the interest of possible military governments, borders, military over here, test range, etc. And why exactly? Sorry about the coughing, I'm still ill. Is that when you look back at one of the previous videos that I did, and even Jeff Klaas brought up as well, it's a fact and it's shown that there was military land proposal takeover of land. And you know what it encompassed? This whole area. Over that way, owned by military. Over this way, public. Still to this day. But there was a direct intention, and done twice, 1 year after Kenny's disappearance, to suddenly want to take over this land because they wanted or they needed it. So, why exactly? What's of interest here to the military may be similar to what Kenny Veach encountered himself, what Kenny Veach may have once saw, what other hikers may have experienced since without getting too close to it, is maybe what the military was trying to take back control of. But why would they have such things out there in the first place if they don't own the land and have it private? Well, there is that crossover of, if it's in such a desolate, empty area, maybe you don't anticipate or expect anyone to come up this way and hike, with the exception of Sheep Peak up there, and Hidden Forest Ridge and Trail further on, where more people may go. This lower section, this canyon, Little Joe May, and Picture Canyon, with how rough and demanding it is, not many people go up this way. And that's even post-disappearance of Kenny, when the location's been put on the map, literally, and made more popular and known. But despite this location being more known now than ever, still not many people go. So when this location wasn't popular post-disappearance of Kenny, well then, really, well no, before Kenny Veach went missing, this location wouldn't have been known of whatsoever for most part of it. You might have had the odd stray hiker coming by here, but most, no. As for Kenny coming across the cave, was he looking for it? No, supposedly. He just came across it. Then when he went back out trying to look for it, he was unsuccessful. But still, it must have caught the interest of military. Whether you call it a coincidence or more than that, what you see highlighted in this orange outline, and it does cover the rest as well in between. There is a diagram of it, and it goes so far up that way too. Maybe it's just before Hayford Peak. Quite a lot of this area was to be taken over by military for whatever reason. And because of the timing of it, they had all those years beforehand, before Kenny's disappearance, they never once decided to do a land proposal takeover, but they just so happened to do so a year after Kenny's disappearance. The timing of it, not done too soon, but done with enough space in between so it doesn't seem too abrupt. That's what's interesting. If Kenny Veach never went missing and he never made a comment online about a cave and vibrations, would there be a reason for military to do a land proposal takeover? Would that still have followed through? Who knows? But the timing of it is rather strange. And I've done a more dedicated video on my channel in the past looking closer to it, so you can always check it out for yourself. As to the mineshaft, which Kenny Veach seems to spend quite a bit of time at, and where the phone was found, take in mind when we look at most of these articles, I will have to look back at the original official one, the K News, just to see if it says a mineshaft or the mineshaft. If you say the mineshaft, likely it's in reference to the one what we know of, the one that Kenny Veach stood near in his video. If they say a mineshaft, and we've known that there's other mineshafts out there in the Nevada desert, thousands upon thousands, and if there are any others more so closer by, just like SB Vega's adventures, what he recently caught on camera, it could suggest that where they actually found his scent, where it actually ended, may not be at this mineshaft, but another one nearby or further on. So we need to look at the language and wording there. But this particular mineshaft doesn't do it justice. It's a vertical one, so you're not going to see that much because it goes down into the ground. But where that black hole is and the surrounding area, this is the mineshaft. And Kenny spent some time around it, which is interesting in his video at least. There was either a prospect mine or something there. I think that's why I put the coordinates there when SB originally was looking for one adjacent before he found the proper alternative mineshaft. So, with the search being done of the original mineshaft, we'll call it that. Sometimes we've made a reference to M Cave mineshaft, and that's just for categorization, key memorable names and words, because if there are multiple mineshafts, we need to come up with unique names so we know which one we're talking about at different times. Kenny's mineshaft, M Cave mineshaft. Some people believe that there is a tunnelway inside and it could go on. Now, I did a separate video at one point, as in, if you angle it diagonally over that way, could it link onto military, like a long tunnel passageway? You could say it's a bit of a reach, a bit of a stretch. If it's in an unrestricted area or was, then why is it just left open? Why is it not truly filled in or covered up? But then again, when it was searched by people, the tunnels, possible tunnels inside, were filled in, from what some have suggested. Now, if that was the same for Kenny Veach, well, then maybe some passageways and opportunities were already blocked off and disabled, even when Kenny was about. And it just so happened that there was one backdoor entrance, one loose opening, which Kenny indirectly came across, and that was a particular spot that the military forgot about or didn't bother adjusting. I mean, different ways of looking at it, but Area 51, you've got different gates and entrance ways, the back door in and stuff, and not all have an outpost, not all are manned by personnel, by military, by security. Some of it is just looks abandoned, but of course if you step over or go on further, it's not going to end well for you. There'll be consequences and it could be quite severe. But because of the way it is out there, not every entrance exit point is manned or people present. There might be surveillance cameras, motion detectors and all that, but you may not see it clearly. So things can be unmanned but still protected. Could that apply to the M Cave or what's beyond it? Because at the end of the day, we call it the M Cave and the characteristics it shares and the vibrations, but more importantly, what's inside of it, what's within it. Because the M Cave could be the be-all or end-all, how it's treated, but more so what's important and would take over in the hierarchical structure would be the contents that lay within the cave, if it truly is one, and how the vibrations are being emitted. What's beyond the M Cave and what's inside? Is it simply a tunnel entranceway to an underground military base? Does it go on further beyond somewhere towards military land? Is it a small little base itself? Does it hold high-tech military equipment, whether it's super dodgy or mysterious or just simply military-related stuff, and Kenny Veach stumbled across it, wasn't supposed to, military, etc., didn't expect anyone to hike over there, so when someone did, and then talked about it online and made it public and said about going back out there, the military were like, oh, well, we best not allow that, and intervened in some way, whether that links to Kenny's disappearance or more so the inability to relocate the M Cave because it's been adjusted or altered with the environment. There's always possibilities there. But is anyone surprised by the mineshaft? I know there's many mineshafts out there and a lot won't always be filled in or protected or covered up to protect the general public. But this particular one, which is of interest and stands out, is anyone surprised by the condition it's in or surprised by it's just left open? Do you think it should have been closed off? I mean, look at it this way. There's some mines, not shafts, which Scott Natal, somewhere in the area, was hiking about. And some of them were cornered off, fenced off with barbed wire. I believe one of which SB Vegas Adventures went into one, whilst being with some other guy, like collaborating. Same mine, which Scott Natal did a year or two before that. So that had like barbed wire on. You could kind of like crawl under or try and fit through, but it was purposely closed off to the general public, and that's out in the rural, desolate areas. So why was this one left open? Because anyone could fall down it, but then you could also say, well, why is anyone coming here in the first place? For what reason? It differs with time. More so now it's because of Kenny Veach searching, or the cave, or maybe even both. But diagonally looking over that way, the whole point of Area 51, putting it diagonal like that, that's a lot of distance. I think it might be 40, 50 miles. Is it possible to measure now? From the mineshaft, would you really get such a long distance tunnel? Maybe not. Could it go so far though? But is it going to cross over to military land or not? Or is it just before? And as well, adjacent, roughly in this area where those rocks are, it's not going to show on camera because it's more modern. But adjacent to the rock formations there and the hike route back there, in between, in this area where I've got the marker centre, there was a drone or spy plane military caught on camera in 2019. Was it heading towards Area 51? Quite possibly. Was it departing from Nellis Air Force Base back in Las Vegas, east? Also possible. Could it have been making a return journey or a visit to Area 51? You never know. But because you got military aircraft, spy planes and drones surveilling the area, passing on by, if Kenny Veach came across something like that, more so at the mineshaft here, it could explain why he disappeared into thin air, why his scent didn't go any further. And if he didn't double back on himself and it was just here where he disappeared, he would have to be picked up, taken away by something, right? You can still mention aliens. There's no harm in suggesting that. There's weird stuff going on. And any videos of high importance which have been neglected or forgotten about, I can always do a video of it in the future, okay? But we move it over here. It's about 50, 55 miles to Area 51. So the difference between where Kenny Veach started his video talking about the cave, leading up to Area 51, 55 plus miles away. And yeah, it may have been suggested that, well, before the true Area 51 base, testing range, military land before that, closer to the hike route, people will refer to that as Area 51 too. But we're talking about the actual base. It's 55 miles away, kind of like northwest-ish. And I think that's a huge difference in distance. Do I think that a mineshaft tunnel network would lead all the way to Area 51? 55 miles of underground tunnel networks? Probably not. Unless it led to a bigger tunnelway where vehicles could drive on down. Because you're not going to be covering 55 miles on foot. Even if Kenny Veach said, if I don't find a cave, I'll head 45 miles north on foot. Very unlikely. The same as it being unlikely of a small passageway tunnel from the mineshaft all the way down to Area 51. Unless it opens to a bigger tunnel network of vehicles passing on through. Now, I think the other things you could look out for, which may have not happened yet, are there any underground ventilation shafts, any underground fans, any underground humming, any underground sounds of trembling or vehicles driving, passing on through, reverberating vibrations, any buzzings, any vibrations. Is it to do with a cave? Is it to do with equipment? Or is it to do with underground traffic of things moving? Different ways of looking at it, and maybe we can do a focus video in the future, but I just wanted to suggest the possibilities now. I know, apologies, I know there was one viewer that suggested when it came to an area in Nevada, the desert, not so much directly here, but somewhere else in the Nevada desert, there was like an underground fan or noises in tunnels. So could any of that link to the hike route by Kenny Veach, the mineshaft that he stood near? I mean, from what other hikers have said when they went down into the mineshaft, they didn't feel or see anything like that, or equipment or technology. But it depends how deep it goes or how further on it could have gone at one point where you might then start feeling stuff. Is there a correlation to where one person felt vibrations to another individual? Is it spread apart? Does it follow a certain pattern, a directional route from mineshaft to where one was zapped or buzzed? If you wonder why it's gone blurry, that's just because of Google Earth being a bit incompetent. When you zoom out from a great distance, it tends to load in a lot slower and it's a bit blurry. So I do apologise for that. There's not much I can do about it unless I quit and then enter back in, which, to be honest, I don't think we really need to at this moment in time. But you've got military aircraft passing on by in the sky up there, passing on by, surveillance, maybe not monitoring the area, but just passing on by. And if they saw Kenny or he stood out, maybe there was some intervention. Whereas the direct association with Area 51 here, 55 miles away, from all the way down there, it's quite great, isn't it? So maybe it doesn't directly link to Area 51, but anything that was coming and going from Area 51 may have intervened with Kenny Veach. That's a possibility. Any equipment, material, which may have been constructed or originated from Area 51 could have been installed or planted over that way back at the hike route. So you think of those external factors, where it originates from and where it's gone and how it can impact and affect hikers. Any interference, any issues with technology, lost footage, glitches, malfunctions. I mean, look at Kenny Veach. Even when Kenny Veach was out there, if you look at some of his video footage, it pixelated, it glitched. Is that what SB may have experienced, but on a worse scale? Is that what Jeff Claw may have experienced on a worse scale? Is there some kind of interference in that area? Something buried away, tucked underground in a cave, whether it be directly what Kenny experienced or something different. You know, Kenny may believe he came across a cave, he may believe he felt vibrations, or it could be something completely different. Maybe Kenny Veach had a different experience or a different mystery, and that's what led to his disappearance. What Kenny Veach was chasing all along, there might have been something else out there all that time, lurking. Or when Kenny was walking about, he encountered something he never thought he would. He was trying to look for the cave, but there was a different answer out there. You look deep enough, there's all different types of possibilities, and I know some people will say it's just a theory, it's just an idea. So what? You can build off from it. You get an idea, you get a concept, you apply it to a map, and if anyone hiked out with that intention or mindset, they might find something to support it. Or it might have already been found or supported, and then you do a map analysis of it, and then come to the conclusion or the possibilities of, yeah, maybe. You still got the Nellis test range. I don't think it does 3D here, but I don't know if it's Google Earth Pro or Bing Maps. It might be Google Earth Pro. There is actually 3D models, but it won't show here, unfortunately. But I think I did a separate video on it. You could have like 3D rendered models of all these buildings, containers, storage units and hangars. And, on the surface level, it might just seem all very normal, but it's what could go on underground. Just as an example, right? You've got some fighter jets there, you've got some helicopters and whatnot, landing pad strip. Can't remember where it was exactly, but it was like a bunker or something. I might not be able to find it on the spot. And with it not being 3D rendered, I'm not going to come across it the same way. Some people have suggested, was Kenny Veach taken to Area 51? But is he really that much of a person of interest and value? I mean, if Kenny Veach couldn't even name the locations for us, let's just put it that way, despite being an avid hiker, what purpose would Kenny serve to the military? How much of interest do the military have in Kenny Veach? Making him a rogue hiker trying to deter people away from the location, to push people away? That's an alternative theory, and to be honest, it just could keep going on and on and on. And that maybe for a separate video. The bombing range, even though I haven't got it mapped out, you can look at some of the locations and the visual aspects, that roadway, testing vehicles, military passing on through, not publicly accessible, to my knowledge. As desolate as it may seem, it will be used. Now, that could be military-related vehicles, either in use or used as target practice, used at times, but I don't think I've really picked up on this before. So over that way is east towards, slightly southeast over that way where Kenny was hiking, over this way, inaccessible. But it's just interesting looking at possible military-related vehicles, test targets, whether it's a storage place for them, and then they're sent out in the desert area to be shot at, blown at, etc. I'm no expert, but just, the sheer amount of vehicles, equipment there's a lot of it. And with this being updated satellite imagery, I'm not too sure if this was here before, or they had the same infantry and quantity, but nevertheless, it's a lot clearer this time around than it was in the past. So it's just interesting to see, especially when you've got a desert. You think it's technically empty and abandoned, but there is things going on. And then it's the questions of what's going on underground, what's going on beyond. So back over here, I think this is like a test range as well. Three Lakes Valley. You can't access it. You're not allowed to. And then back over this way where you're back on normal land. Quite some distance between the areas. Any tunnels in between, likely underground. But if you're going to have an exit point tunnelway network which leads out to an unrestricted area, is it going to be guarded more or less than a restricted land area where it's already monitored and surveillanced? It does make you think. Unless at some point in the past people were a bit lazy or thought, well, no one's going to come here, no one's going to find what we've got hidden away, and then Kenny Veach just happens to be very nosy and indirectly finds it and then talks about it online, spreads it, and then it catches the attention, and that's why the military want a land takeover. The timing of it you can't ignore or dismiss. It's rather strange. But alternative theories, as in where Kenny Veach could have ended up, is he working with or for military? It might be hard to believe or extensive, but we can always do a separate video about it to suggest why or how, because there have been times where there's been strange behaviour in the background where people try dismissing the case or pushing people away. Is it Kenny Veach secretly? Weird possibilities. And with the hotspot down here, as I said in my last video or so, tightly close together, and I believe Jeff Clark saying somewhere down here could be the M cave or some form of activity of interest. What I would say, Jeff Clark, is if you believe that this area is important, fair enough, I understand. But I believe you also said that Robbins Canyon, which I have unmarked, so if I get the wrong spot, it's not the end of the world. It's just because I'm doing it blindly, right? For example, this one, if this is Robbins Canyon, I've got it unmarked, but the one Robin hiked up, Jeff Klein, you thought is somewhat important with that rock anomaly and the big shaped, carved cave, whatever you want to call it. If that's of interest, and down here is of interest too, is there a link, even though they're apart from one another? Is there some kind of connection? Or is there some kind of underground connection? What's really going on in the mountains? What's really going on behind and inside and under the mountains? Because all I would say is, besides the mineshaft, whether there's tunnels or not, it's not like they can be explored at this moment if they've been filled in or collapsed. But what I would like to suggest, down here, where you've got the collection of caves, and you've got the shallow one with the hole in the rock wall, how deep does that go in? Whether it's natural, whether it's by animals, bees, chewing, whatever, how deep does that hole go in? Did anyone stick the hand in? Did anyone stick a camera in? Circular hole, how deep does it go in? How hollow is it? If you can look into a mountain, you can look into the side of one, you can look inside what's within, beside a cave entrance. How deep does it really go? And are there any other examples out there in the area? You find a mine shaft, whether you can enter it or not. Is there a hole in the wall, a hole in the canyon, besides a cave? These alternative aspects. You let me know your thoughts. It could still link to military. Any interference, intermittence is on the table. All in all, hopefully you found the video somewhat interesting. Be sure to hit the thumbs up, the like button. Feel free to share this video to people that you may know of or anywhere else to spread that awareness and get it going. Because whilst the article was full of misinformation and some of the unusual details, I cleared it up so other people don't get confused, especially when new viewers come on in or new people just with the case. They need to know what's up, the basics, the core elements of Kenny's hike, his video, and then when he went out and when he went missing. There's a difference. Once that's cleared up, then people will be able to move forwards clearer in the same direction. But furthermore, it's the ideas, what's been generated from this one video, this one article, and my mind. I don't know if it overlaps with some previous ideas, but what I will tell you is 4 or 5 deep videos and possibilities, theories, I'll make that clear, which can be looked into and analysed. There is an order and a time to doing it all because the list keeps on growing. It's not always going to be this way, being realistic, but here and there, get some ideas, make some videos, see what happens, and then go from there. With that being said, if you're on mobile and you want to hype the video, that'd be appreciated. Get the awareness out there further. My name's WarLike Wrath. I'll see you next time. Goodbye. Good night for now.